Brothers in Arms is the first Dire Straits studio album in 2.5 years. You've been very active since then, but there must be a point beyond which there's urgency. What factors affect the timing of this release?
I don't feel as though there's any urgency. I mean, when you say urgency, I don't feel. So with us, there is this. There's a thing about urgency to get something out at any point. And in any case, I don't think it's that long since the live record.
Only a year since Alchemy.
Is that only a year? Is that short or long in in the biz terms?
In the biz terms, once a year is about average.
Is it?
I'm wondering if it becomes harder to make an album from the point of view where either you might censor yourself more. Does it?
Yeah, I think it does. I think even if you try to do something more simple, sometimes for some combination of reasons, it can get harder. That's talking albums. I mean, I remember we did a Twisting by the Pool EP one time, which we did in one day, and that was very, very easy. Some things just seem to have their own inbuilt complications, and that's the way that it is. I think you just change. Your standards change. And there's always this unforeseen circumstances thing, which just seems to keep cropping up. Sometimes it's a technical thing, so it could be anything.
With Twisting by the Pool, I could understand you just played. But
Yeah.
in this album, with several lengthy pieces, as indeed in Love Over Gold, it sounds as if you've almost agonized over getting every note to sound right.
Yeah, well, some things you do. Some things on this album, again, we just played. I mean, everything on the album we played. We just played, but there's ways and means of doing different songs, different ways, and some things just seem to have their own inbuilt set of rules, and you really have to respect those. And of course, sometimes you don't know when you're actually starting. You don't actually know what the rules are of the song. I mean, it might have its own kind of logic that is escaping you. I mean, you don't actually know what it is that you've created. By God.
Do you mean that you suddenly find that you've generated a feeling, which you then have to honor?
It could be that, and then you can end up just going down an alley, which is the wrong one, and you can spend. I mean, must have spent days and days just working on things which eventually didn't. I mean, I've been mixing things on this record, for instance, and then ending up leaving out stuff that you might have spent days and days on.
Do you mean portions of songs or entire tracks?
Parts, and then there's the actual song that gets on the record, the actual the cut, the take. Some of those songs were taken lots and lots of times and rejected, or you might end up doing days of work on a particular take and then rejecting that take, and either taken again or working on another take. Usually taken again. In fact, a lot with this album we took again, because, again, it could be a bunch of reasons. Didn't have the right feel to it, didn't.
Well, I think in this light, a couple of the songs are particular achievements. I think of Why Worry and Brothers in Arms, which are very sensitive, warm pieces, and yet somehow you managed to perfect them hours and hours on end without losing that feeling.
Well, Brothers in Arms itself is a retake. I mean, we had a version or two and then just took it again. So in fact, the amount of time spent on that one wasn't really that long.
You've named the album after it. Are you either particularly fond of that track, or do you think that somehow that sums up the ethos of the album?
Well, I think a lot of this stuff about album ethos is a bit worn, really. I mean, I don't necessarily look at things in those terms, but Brothers in Arms it's good for a number of reasons. There's a few songs on there that do relate to some of the ideas and attitudes that might surround something like that, Brothers in Arms. And there's the idea of the guys themselves and the idea of who we are and what we do. I mean, it is a kind of, when you're touring and when you are a band, and you know, there is a certain sense of that. It is a kind of a brotherhood.
But yet you've altered the composition of the group this time around.
Oh yeah, it always seems to happen. It keeps getting bigger. There'll be eight men playing when we play this time.
Do you ever worry that changing a few elements in the equation might actually disturb?
No. Well, it'll disturb, yeah. But hopefully the idea is that you improve things.
Well, whenever you do tour, you do a long tour, and this time you're doing, so far it looks like 217 dates.
I think it's about 220 in now, yeah. Shows.
The manager's just added 3 more.
Has he?
Yeah.
I'm told it's about 220 this time.
Now, you really do have to get along, don't you?
Yeah. Bad feet aren't really a good recipe for the bus.
When you're auditioning players, do you bear that factor in mind as well?
Yeah, we do ask them to take their shoes off. And then play solos.
Well, may I ask, because you're doing so many dates to support this, not only how do you decide where you want to go, but how do you decide where you don't want to go?
Well, that's from doing hundreds and hundreds of shows in other places, so that you, all around the world, so that you do get to know the kind of places, the kind of venues that you like. But it just seems that you end up going back to these places anyway. No.
It's appropriate that you should choose compact discs because you have been the world's biggest selling group on compact disc in terms of your catalog. Do you yourself believe what is said, that is, that the sound is superior to the usual black LP?
There's no question about that. I mean, I don't buy records anymore. I mean, records are, to me, are just a pain compared to compacts, and cassettes don't even come into it. Cassettes are a joke compared to compact. Compact's the only way to go.
What was your first introduction to compact discs?
It was actually just hearing one of my own master tapes, you know, and it's sometimes it's actually, I mean, for the purposes of conversation, it's actually as good as master tape. It's as good as listening to your master tape, to your master in the studio, really. Sometimes it's better, for some strange reason. It shouldn't be, but sometimes it is.
Do you think, therefore, it is inevitable that the compact disc will replace the black LP in time?
Absolutely. I mean, quite apart from anything else, there's this whole thing about length. On a record, you can get at the maximum maybe 25, I don't know what it is. Something just over 20 minutes on one side. So even, for instance, with the Brothers in Arms album, you know, we've been editing to get things on. You know, on a compact disc, you can run much, much longer. So that, I mean, I think you've got 63 minutes or 65 minutes on a compact disc. So 63 maximum, but you can go to at least an hour without any problem at all. So that you can get more music on there, and it's all absolutely top quality sound. I mean, it's tragic to hear what happens. For instance, on cassettes, they have these guys in the cassette factories with their little sound desk and compressors and just compressing the hell out of everything that comes in there because they have some kind of crackpot theory that you have to be able to hear it in cars. and stuff like that. So you get these biffos, you know, that just squashing all these records that have been made at a tremendous expense and time. And people don't realize how bad the music is, the sound is on cassette. And also when they buy these big compilation albums, you know, with 20 tracks aside, they don't realize, of course, that what it's doing is just shutting down all the sound. And therefore, a tremendous amount of enjoyment is to be gotten out of the music. What it's like is like buying a cheap print of a great painting, and you still get a sense of what it is, but it's nothing like the real thing, or a really, really high quality print. Now, in fact, compact disc is actually better than getting a high quality print.
It's closer to the original.
It's even closer to the original. It almost is the original.
This time, with Brothers in Arms, you will be simultaneously releasing compact disc and black disc. Do you have any idea what the percentage of sales will be?
I've no idea. I mean, tragically, I think as many people buy cassettes as buy records. You know, I think that's a shame, because people need telling just about the cassette quality.
So it's just really a factor of time, expense, and education before they switch?
Yeah, I think it's only a matter of time. I mean, all you have to do is, if you get a compact disc, is just A, B. You know, or do an ABC, even more. Get a cassette, a record, and a compact disc on your system, and just go A, B, C. And the difference between a record and a cassette will be fantastic if it's a good pressing, if it's a good cut and record. But the difference between a record and a compact disc will be even greater. The difference between compact disc and a cassette is like comparing a baby carriage to a tank.
Could you now imagine leaving the job of studio production of your work to someone else, of letting someone else supervise the actual sound of your records?
Well, in a sense, that the engineer that I've been working with for a long time, Neil Dorfsman, takes care of a lot of that for me, because I don't consider myself to be a technical person anyway. So I think that for illiterates like me, it's very important to have somebody around who's up technically. Now I'm more artistic. You know,
But you are there all the time, aren't you?
Pretty much, yeah.
How did you feel about the way that Private Dancer turned out when Tina Turner did your song?
Well, I'm very glad that she did it. I mean, she changed it around a little bit, and but I thought it suited her very well. And it's done very well too.
Indeed it has.
Uh-huh.
Indeed it has.
Yeah, I'm glad. And actually, I've written another one for her next album too. Don't know whether it's ever going to make. She hasn't heard it yet. She probably hates it.
Hope not. Hope not. Well, just as CD has come in and been so important in the field, so has MTV in the United States. And you've got a song on this album called Money for Nothing, in which the first line we hear is the old MTV promotional slogan, I want my MTV.
They're the same words, yes. I think the music's different.
And I think perhaps the sentiment
To protect
is a bit
the
different.
innocent.
I think the sentiment is a bit different, isn't it?
I suppose so. I suppose so. I actually wrote that song because I was up in this, I was in a store. I was looking at kitchens and kitchen equipment and fridges and cookers and ovens, and there was a lot of televisions down one wall, and all these guys who worked in the store were watching MTV. All the TVs were tuned to MTV, and they were all talking about it. So I started writing the song in the store. I actually sat down in the front window of the store, you know, in one of their custom kitchen sort of display areas, and started writing the song there. It was basically what the guys were saying about MTV in the store. Guys who worked there, delivery guys, and the warehouse guys.
MTV has been given a lot of credit for helping groups who video well, for example, Duran Duran, Stray Cats, and so forth. But is there another side of the coin? Are there artists who MTV hurts or inhibits? In which category do Dire Straits fall?
I've no idea. I really have no idea about any of that. I don't follow it. It's like I don't read Billboard, or I don't follow the charts, and I don't really take much notice of what. I remember being told by a DJ in America that we test very well, and I'm not quite sure what it means, but I have an idea that it's some kind of polling system that they've got with the public.
Do you yourself enjoy videos, making them?
No, not really. I think that the vast majority of videos are a real disappointment. I mean, I think they shut down a lot of the what's on record, and they make it specific. And I think, I mean, nobody's more guilty of that than us. I mean, I think that we've experimented. I mean, I've tried to do a thing that was specific, that shut it down to one particular thing, tried to do a thing that opened it out, and have directors just express themselves with it, rather than having me or somebody tell them what exactly is going on. I mean, I think basically the whole thing is failing miserably, left, right, and centre. Because if it's going to tell another story from what the song is saying, then that's not making it. And if it's going to say exactly what the song is saying again, then that's not making it either, because you're just saying something twice. So I think really that the way to go with video is to, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, is to either abstract a thing completely, as you would with a painting or something, or just stick to performance. And I mean, I really actually like performance video. I like things like Alchemy, which we did, which was just real footage from one real night, and the record is exactly what we played, with no studio overdubs or anything, and it's just real. And that's what happened, and that's what people are watching.
Certainly, if one looks back to Sultans of Swing, which was in the pre-video era, or at least before everybody had to do them, it sounds impossible to have done that literally without making it look...
I think it would be stupid. I mean, apart from anything else, a song like Sultans of Swing is supposed to work on a number of levels. It's supposed to work on a number of levels, so there's no point in... I mean, if you go and... What do? You go and get a pub and get a jazz band and stick them up in the corner. You know, that's not what it's about, necessarily. I mean, it is on one level. It's not just about that. So you'd have to structure a video. If you're going to shoot a video of that, you'd have to get into all kinds of real heavy trips. And I don't see that would be possible. You'd end up probably just confusing people. It would be a tremendous job. And also, from the point of view of all the things that I've got to do, I wouldn't have the time to get involved in shooting a video at that kind of level, at that kind of same intensity, or something that had to work on the same amount of levels as the song does. So...
You're changing the musician into a movie maker.
Well, very much so. I mean, there is that, which of course we're not. And another thing is that, like most guitar strummers aren't actors. This is only too embarrassingly obvious. You know.
How do you propose to get around this for Brothers in Arms, or will you make a video of that song?
Well, I think maybe we will, but I think we'll be basing things a lot more in terms of just playing the song and letting people have their own rooms in the song, giving people a chance and not insulting their intelligence with, you know, a piece of, with a bunch of people with like beach balls on their heads or something, and something completely unrelated. I think it'll give people a chance to watch the song being played and then to make their own movies. I think people make their own movies with songs. It's like you were saying earlier on, your first love is radio, and that one of the reasons for that, I'm sure, is, and why everybody's is that it's not insulting people's intelligence, and it's letting people use their own imaginations. It's like comparing bad films to, you know, how many bad films have been made from good books? I mean, a lot more than good films have been made from bad ones, I think.
You do have phenomenal success in reaching a large number of countries, as witnessed the fact you're able to do 220 dates around the world. It's strictly on musical content, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Which is good news in terms of what it says about the audience around the world, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the fans are fantastic, unbelievable bunch of people, you know. You're talking about millions of people.
And loyal fans too, because you've just set a record for most dates at Wembley Arena, and you've sold out without people even hearing a new album.
No, right. I mean, I can't remember how many it was the promoter said that we could do, but we've had to stop at 12 Wembleys because we have to go to Canada straight after.
That's a great achievement. You've led this album, singles-wise, with So Far Away. Any reason why you've chosen that, or is that the most direct, catchy tune?
To me, it's very direct. Yeah, direct is a good word. It is. It's quite. To me, it's very straightforward, and it's a way of dealing with that side of things without getting all hung up about the finer points of this and that. It's just a way of saying, well, here's a single, here's the album.
Did you know when you were writing it, oh, this is the single, or did you indeed say, I've got to write a single?
I never even thought it would be a song. I didn't even know whether it would be a song, quite honest with you. And I just write these things down, and if they turn out to be tunes, then fine. You know, but I didn't know it was going to be a tune.
It worked out. Do you sometimes bear in mind the length of the tracks, or do you just go on until you feel your expression has been made?
I'll just go on until it's finished, but the length, the only thing that's a hang-up about length is records, to me, albums. You know, and that's just a drag about having to make an album, which is a piece of plastic. You know, if they were all compact discs, it'd be no problem at all. You just do your songs and that would be that. But as it is, we've had to edit for the album.
Are you seriously suggesting then that without that constraint you probably would write longer pieces?
If there wasn't that constraint, what I'd probably do, I'd probably just go quite the other way and do tunes that were like, 90 seconds long, just because it was that way.
Well, you've done a couple of film soundtracks now, which are quite variable, really. I mean, you may have incidental music for a scene, or you could have a long theme. Have you learned sufficiently from those two to know whether you'd like to do more?
Yeah, I'd like to do more. I just don't have time. And I mean, it's like, doing film stuff for me is like, it's kind of like a real expensive hobby.
Expensive?
Well, you see, the way that I would do a film score is, first of all, I'd probably start doing it completely wrong, and it would take far too long to do it, because I like the idea of actually making a record that will stand up by itself at the end of it, from music which is in the film, without just doing one decent track and then a bunch of padding, which is what a lot of film scores, to me, seem to be like, records anyway. So then I would use a fair amount of studio time, and I'd use a good studio and try and do some good music. So it would probably be pretty expensive. You know, I wouldn't, so I'm not very sharp about all these things. It takes me a long time to learn that sort of stuff. So it would be longer than it would take your average guy to do a film score. I would need, at least 2 or 3 weeks to record it, put it down. So I couldn't do it in 2 afternoons. So in order for instance for it to be like a going concern, you'd really have to be much faster.
Did you at all get any aggravation from the other members of Dire Straits when you were doing Local Hero or Cal in the lines of, speed it up, we've got to do a Dire Straits project
Not
again?
at all, because mostly those guys were involved, because they're the guys I know, and we just work together. So it's a great way of using other musicians and getting to know other musicians too. But the guys have been involved in a lot of the soundtrack stuff too.
Perhaps because both of the films I mentioned were done with David Putnam, the producer. You may have an association there, at least in the minds of the public. Is there one in your mind?
Oh yeah, very much so. I think with David, yeah. And a special guy, I think. Yeah. And I'm very fond of both the directors. I was fortunate enough to get a good relationship going with. And I think a lot of both of them, of Bill Forsyth and Pat O'Connor. So that's very important to me, because when you're doing a film score, you're not just pleasing yourself, you see, you're pleasing somebody else. You have to try and put yourself in their shoes. You have to sympathize. You have to be trying to do what they want to do but can't. It's almost like saying, I feel this. And you have to put yourself in their position. And of course they're different too. For instance, Pat knew exactly where he wanted music to begin, where he wanted it to end, and we worked it out to the second. And it's very demanding. It's a very demanding thing to do. I think it's a good brain exercise.
But you talked about it with such enthusiasm that I must believe you will do it again someday.
Yeah, well, I think I would. I'd like to have another go. Because when I started, I had no idea how you even approached something like that. By the time I did the second one, I still really had no idea, because, and in fact, when I did the third one, I sort of looked at Cal, and I looked at all these cues, the music cues, which I got them all printed up on a sheet, got them to print them all up on a sheet, and I sort of looked at it and I thought, well, I can't do this. And the way I did it was just by starting at the beginning and just going on till it was finished. So in other words, the tip is really, if you've ever got something that you think that you can't do, just write it all down and start at the beginning, and then by the time you've finished, you realize that you've actually done it.
Do you find that you do projects as they strike you, or do you really have to book your own engagements months, or perhaps like opera singers, a couple of years ahead?
Well, what I'm doing now is just, because the band stuff is going to go on for at least a year or so, I can't do anything for anybody else right now. And I've started turning down a lot more stuff. Just learning how to say no to things is one of the
At first, I suppose, offers which you would have given a digit to get when you were struggling are so attractive, you always say yes, but you actually do have to learn to say no more, don't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's like learning how to go to bed at night instead of staying up. Even if you want to be around to see everything that's happening.
Have you enjoyed the production of other recording artists you've done?
Yes, I have. And I really enjoyed playing for people. The last bunch of sessions I did was for Brian Ferry, and I really enjoyed doing Brian's record. I think it's going to be a great record. Real nice sounding record.
Do you find that within the world of world-class musicians, there aren't the ego hang-ups some people might think? In other words, with Brian, for example.
Not with Brian, not at all. I think he's a lovely guy and a good man. I don't think that he's just interested in doing good work. There are others that conduct things slightly differently, but Brian was great to me.
So you know that in 1986 you'll be doing Dire Straits gigs until March, and that's a quarter of the year gone. Have you looked beyond that at all?
Do you mean the end of the tour? I should think what will happen at the end of the tour is that we'll have a bunch of other gigs to do, because we'll be like tuned up to playing, and what happens is we just get hotter and hotter as the tour goes on. So I think that we'll probably do some more playing, and I would probably at some stage, we do sort of stretches. It's like jail terms, and then and then you get let out for a couple of weeks. And in that time, I'd like to do some more recording, I think, just do another EP or something. We get a little break sometime.
Different kinds of work are relaxation for you?
Yeah, I think doing some sessions would be great.
How do you determine what to do on stage? How do you present yourselves with a light show, for example?
Yeah, the lights are really important to us. You know, so we do think a lot about that. In other words, I think we do dramatize things on stage quite a lot. I think it's worth doing that. Because, I mean, you're out to present the tunes and present the songs and give people some drama, give them a positive thing, feel. And we do think about that. I mean, surprising as it may seem, you know, we're just like a bunch of blokes shambling around. It's not really quite like that. You know, we do present tunes.
No, I saw the Hammersmith gig that formed the basis of the Alchemy recording.
Yeah.
And it seemed you had taken great care and timed it well as well.
Yeah, yeah, but it's like you need some time to organize all of these things. Yeah, it's worth it, I think. I think people then have a good time. You give people a good time. I mean, the thing is about our gigs are like celebrations. You know, people come from all over the place. They go, they have bus trips to Belgium, and you know, they come from England, they come from Wales, they come from everywhere, Scotland and Ireland, and they come from all different countries to other countries. So it just becomes this like a party thing. So it better be good. I mean, you better be good. You better be good when you get up there and play. You better know what you're doing, and you better know how to play, and you better know what's happening with the show. It's got to be together. And when we're going to be up there, we're going to be playing for a long time, and we do play for a long time. And then, so we make the thing, we try and create a kind of a flow, rather than just sort of go on there, pick our noses and say, well, what we're going to play now, which is all very well, but it's not a club gig. It's a different thing. You have to deal with tens of thousands of people sometimes.
Are the shows the highlights of your day, or are they the nerve-wracking experiences they've been for some stars in the past, like John Lennon, who suffered?
Well, we're just tuned into it, you see, so it's not nerve-wracking at all. It's a real high point, sure, that 2 or 3 hours, whatever it is. It's a high point, but they're not it's not nerve-wracking, because it's together. So it's enjoyable. That's the main, that's the main thing. It's enjoyable. It's like a mutual fun time, because you get to meet all the people that come to see you, you know. And a lot of them, they get, say, in the dressing room afterwards as well. They've come, tour manager sort of ships them all in batches into this dressing room. So you get to meet a lot of people too. It's good.
Do you use the tours as an opportunity to join a band and see the world, or do you actually just see hotel rooms?
Oh no, you do see a lot. You get to see, and the interesting thing about touring every so often is that you get to see different countries at different times. So you can gauge a country like a couple of years on. In other words, Amsterdam was a certain way 3 years ago, now it's like this, and you sort of talk to people and you see how it's changed in 3 years.
Do you find that perhaps this gives you a kind of political or social insight which you feel may be lacking in some politicians?
Yeah, I do. I really do. I mean, nobody felt, for instance, there was a bit of a depression in America in the early, I think it was probably sometime around 1980. There was a fuel crisis and people weren't going out to shows and things like that. And I don't think anybody felt that more seriously than performers, than touring performers at that time. And got a gauge of it, just how it affected society. Or the way, I mean, I was talking about Amsterdam, for instance, the way that city has changed because of events, and just being away from it for a year and then coming back and then getting the full impact of things that have happened. It's quite interesting. It's quite, whereas if you're there all the time, it's just such a gradation that you don't really notice changes.
I would imagine that one way of making a tour more fascinating for you would be to make the dates as much of an event for you as they are for the fans.
Yeah.
For example,
Right.
what will you do when you go to Israel?
God, I don't know. I mean, we don't know anything about it. Don't know anything about Israel at all. We just know that apparently the audiences, if you're good, then the audiences are really out of sight. You know, that they love good concerts. They're really into it. And I hear that the venue's amazing, and one of the venues that we're going to play, an open air place, I think it's the Salt and Pool it's called, which is beautiful. So we're looking forward to it.
Are you doing any other unusual venues on this tour?
I think we're doing an open air one in the States. We're doing a bunch of open air ones. We tend to do things like bull rings in the south of France and Spain, yeah. Which is weird because you feel like you're just going out to do battle. It's like you're going out and it's sort of we who are about to die, you know, kind of a thing. And in Italy, going out, the Juventus Stadium at Turin, I remember, was about 90, 100,000 people in there, all over the pitch as well as all around the sides. And that's a strange feeling too. And you know what people feel like when they go out, what the guys feel like when they go out to play a cup final. You really get that feeling when you go on.
Some artists can't write in these conditions. They have to wait till they're off the road. Others thrive on picking up and basing songs on their experiences while on tour. Do you fall into either of those two categories?
I don't write that well on the road, really. I haven't written that many things on the road. Maybe this time I will, because it's more relaxed all the time. Every time that we do it, we get more into it, and better do it better. So maybe I will. But by and large, I like to have time just to be able to turn around when I get back home.
Have you found recently it's the lyrical ideas that come first, or is it a riff?
I've been asked that about 1,000,000 times and I still don't know the answer.
In other words, each time it's its own case.
Yeah, that's it. Each song has its own rules. I think more and more words, though. First. More and more. But not necessarily. Because as soon as you write something, it has a certain rhythmical sense to it. It makes itself understood better in terms of a rhythm, in terms of a musical thing. And then you finish it off by, having created some music, you might finish it off by, through the music will actually suggest us other rhythms.
Do you feel more self-conscious now as a singer of those words? I suppose a lot of groups, when they start off, they don't pay too much attention to the singing. But now you're well along the way.
No, I don't think of myself as a singer at all, really. I don't think of things in that sense. To me, I'm just the same as when I started. You know, which I don't think anything's changed at all. I think it's exactly the same as when I was sitting, because I still sit at home and write tunes with a guitar. So I don't think it's any different. I don't think I'm sure Barbra Streisand thinks of herself as a singer. Although maybe an actress too. Sorry, let me think of a singer. You know what I mean? But I don't really think in those terms. I think of myself. It's more a guitar player, really, who writes songs and gets them done, gets them out and gets them across, I suppose. Rather than the sing style of things, not my thing.
Would you rather sing them yourself, or has it just turned out that way? After all, Pete Townsend had Roger Daltrey sing them.
No, I would rather. Because I've heard other people trying to sing those songs and it just never really seems to work to me, really. Unless it's the kind of song that does translate across well. I mean, I've heard other people do versions of things which can be okay. They're fine. It's just. I mean, I might not be technically a very good singer, but just there's a certain amount of expression in there.
And a very distinctive voice. Can you recognize that yourself?
Well, it's just not like it's not like it sure doesn't sound like Johnny Mathis, that I do know.
Perhaps for that reason, when I first heard the Money for Nothing track, I thought, hang on, it's got to be someone else with you, because you couldn't sound like that as well, could you? And of course it turns out there is another guest vocalist on that track.
Yeah, well, Sting was in Montserrat at the time we were recording. So it was very useful. He was on holiday, and he goes there a lot. So, but I know him pretty well anyway, so we're pals.
Did he need any arm twisting at all?
No, not at all, no. He said he'd be honoured to do it. It was great.
It turned out well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he likes the tune. Very soulful guy.
Some people foresee a limited life in their rock and roll career. They think, oh, 5 or 10 years, that's the most I'll get out of this, make a lot of money and retire. Are you a lifer?
Yeah. Life stretch, I think. I really think so. It's just, I think I'll be doing it right up to where I've just fall over. And that'll be it. I like to go out with a guitar in my hands, really would, and boots on, definitely.
Well, you've got some boots on now,
yeah.
so just give your guitar.
Yeah, for next week.